on this computer. Magic makers. Today I am talking to one of my very, very, very good friends, Leanne Hayden. And today we're talking about the 75 hard. And I don't know if you have heard of it. It started back in 2019. And I feel like it blew up during COVID. Like that was kind of like the thing. And everywhere you saw was hashtag 75 hard. And, you know, as we talk, you'll hear my feelings about it. You'll hear Leanne's feelings about it. Leanne is one of the few people I know that have got through the 75 days. And I just wanted to have this open conversation because I feel like this time of year, people feel like they need to get back to something, air quoting for those of you listening to the audio. And maybe this is something that you're looking at. So I really want to have a conversation with someone who's been there and just, I know I can have this open conversation with her because we've been friends for so long and she'll just give you the straight poop. So Leanne Hayden, please welcome to the show.
Well, thank you, Kim, for having me. And you're right. You know, I'll just give you the straight poop of it. We've known each other long enough. And if your viewers know who you are and how you're just like, hey, no, these are the facts. Yeah, I'm the same person. I think
right,
that's
exactly.
So well.
Exactly. So let's just start off. If anyone who's like, I have no idea what the hell you're talking about. What is the 75 hard?
So 75 hard was created by this man, Andy Frisella. He actually owns a supplement line, believe it or not. So he created this thing and he actually, right? Figure that one out, right? But he created it because he actually started to do things to do the program himself personally, to get himself in better health, to get himself in better shape, to get his head straight, more or less straight, right? Because he wanted to succeed in his business and his life and all of those things. And he said, I need to be healthier. So what do I need to do? So he started to do this and it developed into this whole program. It's free. So basically it's 2 45-minute workouts a day. One has to be outside. They need to be 3 hours apart. A gallon of water a day. You follow a diet. So for whatever diet you choose to follow, you follow that for 75 days. You read 10 pages in a self-help book of some sort. And what am I missing? Oh, progress picture. So 2 workouts, a progress picture, gallon of water, you follow a diet. Oh, no cheat meals and no alcohol, right? So when I first started this, I was like, oh, no alcohol, because you know me, Kim. I mean, I love my wine. I love my wine and an occasional tequila, right? So it's like, oh, I need to give that up. And I remember when I first sat down to say, I just woke up one Sunday morning and said, I'm doing it. Like, didn't think about it again, had heard it, had seen some people that were doing it. And I said, you know what? It's time for me. And it happened to be in September. So it was that fall season, like you said, right? And I woke up one morning and I just said, you know what? I got to rein my shit in and I've got to take some control. So I'm just going to do this. I work out pretty much every single day anyway. By the time I add it all up, it's probably an hour and 15 minutes, right? If you add in my walk that I was doing and, you know, my lifting or my stuff, I said, I'm already doing that. I should be drinking a gallon of water a day because for those of you that don't know me, I am a cancer survivor and I'm in a colostomy for life. So I need more water than the average person, right? To stay hydrated. And my diet, and I need to stop drinking. You know what I mean? I need to really just clean it up. And so with those goals in mind is what, and at the end of it, I'm like, and I need to drop some weight. And I did it for 75 days and I dropped 18 pounds, but I felt amazing.
So let's go back to the beginning. So you had heard about 75 hard and you just kind of, you thought about it and you're like, were you like interesting? Were you know, what was it about that it like appealed to you? Was it like 75 days? Like, what was that thing that said, you know what, this is something I should do?
Right. Well, I think it was when I actually looked at the rules, and I'll put those in quotes, right? Because you have these 75 harders that are just like, no, you have to ask, it's not it. And you've got to do these hardcore workouts all the time, and right? Hammering it into you. And it's like, no, it's not really what the rule is. It's right. And I'm like, when I looked at it, I was pretty much already doing most of the things anyways in my daily life. And I said, you know, why don't I put structure around it?
All right. And you know, from that point, I see you doing that where it's like, you know, let's just say there's 10 things because I can't do the math. You're like, out of the 10 things, I'm already doing 80%. So what's adding on that 20%?
Right. And who will I become at the end of it? And then I looked back and I said, 75 days. Well, I used to do fitness competitions and that shit was harder than
Right.
hard.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
it was 12 weeks or so. Right. And then that was really pulling in a diet down. This was just like, no, let's just follow a healthy diet, healthy, and I put in quotes diet. All right.
Right.
Up your own of what your workouts look like. Literally walk twice a day for 45 minutes. Do you know what I mean? Like that could be what you do in your 2 workouts.
True, true, true. Um, okay. So for you, I get that. So, for that, the person who's listening and you're saying, I want you to grade yourself right now. Out of the 10 things, how many of them are you currently doing consistently? And if you're not doing
Right.
any of these things consistently, hopping into the 75 hard is going to be, I'm going to say it's going to be more than hard. It's going to be a struggle and a challenge. But I guess we forgot the one thing. According to Andy, if I miss one of the 10, I go back to day one.
Well, you know what the silly thing is, and I forgot to add this, one of the things you need to do every day is take a progress picture.
Right.
Well, I was like in the mindset of like, this is just dumb, right? Like, this is just dumb. I got to take a selfie every single, yeah, because you see the progress over time, but that's one thing. So if you miss that stupid start from day one, right? That is in his rules. Like, and I again put them in quotes, right?
Right.
That's in the rules of 70 hard. So I think the hardest thing for me was to remember to take that stupid picture every single day.
Right.
And I almost
right.
missed it one.
Right. And so it's like in your
And
mind,
in my head, I'm like, I'm not starting over because I'm doing the harder things. I'm doing the
right.
harder things for myself. Mess up by a picture. And I know one girl that did it. She actually had to start over. She was on day like 15 and she fell asleep reading her book.
And she
She fell
probably
asleep reading her
on
book
page
to go to
9.
bed. That was Malia, right? So she fell asleep reading her book. So she woke up the next day and goes, I didn't read my 10 pages. So then the rule was start over from scratch, right? So then that's like, oh, it's not just 75 days. Now it's been like, 90 days.
Right.
And
Exactly.
so, however, the thing that I think about when I think about that is it really does hold you accountable to the things that you want to accomplish in your life, right? The healthy things, the good things that you want to accomplish in your life. It holds you accountable to that. So it's almost like you wake up and you say, you know what? I usually mess up my reading. Let a gallon of water. Let me start drinking my water earlier in the day.
Right.
You know what?
Yeah.
Let me see where in the day I can get my 2 workouts in. And so you're looking at your calendar. You're like, yeah, I like to go and I'll do before I go to bed, or it's lunch. I'll go for a walk when I first wake up. And I always say walk because that's pretty much what everybody does for their 45-minute outdoor workout. And then
Right.
I'll do like my lift session at lunchtime.
Right. No,
It helps.
and you're right, because I feel so many people will say to you, I don't have time. The day got away from me, and you hear that all the time. And I think for the people who are A plus plus who are listening to this podcast, really like, checking that box, like walk, check, food, check. And I like it for the structure, I like for the accountability. My biggest knock is that, one, starting over, and two, maybe instead of trying to go for all 10 things at once, maybe you look at kind of like so you could break it into like, good, better, best.
And you know what it is? It's almost like, so when I finished 75 hard, and it's very rare for somebody to do it in their first try, right? Usually you always mess up, but I did it in my first try. I did it because I was so focused on this is what I'm going to have happen, because I wanted a better person as I was going through it, but easier for me because I was doing the majority of the things as it was.
Right.
And when I looked at taking the photo, I take a selfie of myself every damn day for Instagram, right? So why not just take it in the mirror in a pair of shorts in my sports bra? But the person I became at the end of it, I was like, look what I just accomplished. I felt amazing.
Mm,
I felt healthy. I just felt really good. And then I took 30 days off. And then I was like, okay, let me get into phase one. And phase one, 30 days of it, but you're adding in a 5-minute cold shower. You're adding in doing functional tasks. And there was something else, and I forget, and it wasn't that hard. But I remember just thinking about that 5-minute cold shower. I go, oh my word, like
yeah.
that's gonna be super hard. And mind you, it was January in New England. And so
Right.
it was kind of dumb for me to do it at that point in time. But I'm like, you know what, just get it over with. And my husband would say to me, you'll never remember your successes, but you'll always remember when you quit.
Ah,
And he said that to me because I so wanted to quit those cold showers. It would be like day 10 and I'd be in the shower going, you effing, I hate you. Like I'd be swearing at the water, you know what I mean? Because it was so cold. And he's just like, and I come on, I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore. And he'd be like, listen, if you're quitting now, you're going to remember that you quit.
right.
So through it. So I finished it. And then at the end of the 30 days, we went to Florida, and then all hell broke loose because that's when I was with my friends and wine and sun and warmth and yeah. But I think it was, if I would have done that next 30 days, like in warmer weather, I probably would have appreciated it way more.
But see, I think all of us want to find that perfect time, right? That perfect time when, the kids are back in school or this or that, whatever we say is our perfect time. And here's where I'm like, if you want a true challenge, start doing things when you are busy, when
Mhm.
there is, when the kids are running around and carting them here, there, and everywhere, or it's a busy time at work, because that's when, as John said, you'll like really find a way to make that time, so that when you do quit, you'll think to yourself like, damn, like I quit.
I quit that, right? And when you do finish it and you get successful, even if you get in there and you're like, you know what, I did 50 days of this.
Right.
Like, look how freaking awesome I am. I did 50 days of this. All I need is 25 more and I'm done. And then you start counting backwards at that point. You're like, I can do this. I'm way more than halfway through. And you
Right.
celebrate those moments. And it's like, and I started, and this, I mean, I did this almost 2 years again, don't know where the time's going, but I did it 2 years ago. And I woke up on a Sunday morning, just said, I'm doing it. Well, I'm on day 11 again. And I woke up, I came home from a trip and I'm like, all right, let's see if I can do it again. Let's try it. So I did day 1. I tested positive for COVID. I got sick,
Ah,
basically, right? So I was sick all last week. And I said, you know what? I need some fresh air. Even though I'm not walking at my health end, and I'm only feeling 40%, I'm gonna give it my walk this 40%, which means it's my 100 for the day. So I went out twice a day and walked to get some fresh air, to get things moving and all that. I followed the diet. I wasn't drinking because it didn't feel good. I read 10 pages a day and I took the pictures. So the next thing I know, I'm like, you know what? Now I'm sitting here looking, I'm like, I'm on day 11 already. I'm already on day 11. So, I mean, there's 59 more days to go.
well, for you, I feel that you have to have that, like that mindset, like kind of like that get after it mindset, and not expect miracles, right? You weren't expecting that on day 75, like when you weren't expecting to lose weight. You're like, that's a nice to have. Your whole motivation was like, can I do this?
Mhm.
And I think
Right.
other people go in with, all of these expectations that, you know, if by the time X number of days happens, maybe I'm losing a dress size, or maybe this is happening, maybe this is happening, versus being like, check the box and just march forward.
Mhm. Exactly. I mean, in this time, I haven't lost a pound. It's been 11 days. There's been no weight coming me at all, but I'm feeling better, right? I'm
Right.
feeling my energy better. And you're right. It's like, I didn't go, and the one sad thing about 75 hard is when you look at it, all you see is a before and an after of people. Like, here's when I started, here's what I look like when I'm done. And they
Right.
always look way in better shape because it's inevitable. You're going to get in better shape than
Right.
you
You're
were when
cleaning
you
the
started.
shit out
It's
of your
gonna happen.
diet. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Like, you're cleaning your crap up, right? So that's inevitable. And that's the part that's a shame, because the things that the person I became by going through it was way more than a physical change. There was a whole huge mental thing in it, which was, I'm mentally tough. I can still, I felt accomplished. I was proud of myself. The books that I read, I was like, I haven't read, I
Yeah.
haven't read books like this in this way in a long time. You know what I mean? Like, just
Right.
10 pages, it's just 10 pages,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. And it's,
Um,
yeah, I like how you say that because I feel most diets, people only look at the before and after, and
mhm.
they don't look at the identity shift that
Yeah.
happens as a result of any diet. The result of, okay, I can start and finish things.
Mhm.
No, so many people discount energy because 99.9% of us are running around exhausted, and we just think that's how life is supposed to be. We're not sleeping, we eat like shit. I had a bad day, so a couple of glasses or a bottle of wine is going to make it all better. So
Mhm.
I think what you just said, for a lot of people, even if you said for 75 days, I'm going to have just one glass of wine versus a bottle, you might
Mhm.
notice a difference. And
Mhm.
it doesn't have to be the 10 things that Andy laid out, but you can just, I feel like you can make your own 75 and
Mhm.
just kind of ease your way into the Andy way, or just say, you know what, if you do try, and if you do fuck up, be like, this is what I fucked up on. And maybe you leave that off.
Right. Go. Or, if you don't, and his rule is start over, right? Because it's just as, I mean, that's just what he says you need to do.
Right.
But imagine the person that and even if you messed up and didn't take a progress picture. I
Right.
mean, the little things, right? The progress picture, or not reading your book. But I'm telling you, drinking your gallon of water, that's going to help you.
For sure.
All night peeing because your body's starting to release all the water it holds. But again, this thing is, it's 2 45-minute workouts. And when I heard that in the beginning, when I started, I'm like, 45-minute workouts, what are they, sing? And then when I looked, I'm like, you're already working out for over an hour, just about an hour and 10 minutes a day anyway. By the time you add in your mobility work and your cool down and all your stuff, you're already there for an hour and 10 minutes. And I'm like, all right, so that's only 20 more minutes. And then I just split it in two. So I'm not lifting for an hour. I lift for 45 minutes if I do that. It's actually probably even better for me to go do that. And then the diet part is you choose your diet. It's like, you know what?
Right.
I'm having a problem with sugar, right? Let's, for an example, right? Like, say somebody says, I just like my cookie every day. Like, I want to get better. Well, maybe your diet is, I'm just going to cut sugar out for the next 75 days. That can be your diet. It doesn't have to be strict and rigid that way. And
Right.
so it doesn't have to be as hard as you think it needs to be able to do it. And you probably, people, if they just did it and like, oh, well, I just got to cut out sugar and not have alcohol for 75 days. Okay. A walk and a workout. Okay. Maybe 2 walks a day. Okay. Cause I'll tell you that additional 30 days that I did, that phase 1 that I did in the end, my diet, and I put that in quotes, was more calories. So I went into maintenance mode. So I was eating 2,100 calories a day, and I went for a walk and I did yoga. That's what I did for those 30 days. That was
Yeah.
it,
I mean,
every day. And once a week, it was like a restorative yoga.
and that's the one thing I do like about it, that it doesn't say that your workout must be so hardcore that you can't sit down the next day. It's, like you said, if
Yeah.
yoga's your jam, yoga, you know, and most people, like you said, they go for a walk outside. And, I also want to be like, we live in New England, if it's a snowstorm, you know, sometimes you got to give yourself that grace and latitude and be like, you know what? I'm going to just walk on the treadmill today because hurricanes so and so is outside, or blizzard so and so is outside, or it's 400 degrees outside. and I might pass out. Give yourself the check.
Well, I'll tell you, he does say, so if you have an injury or a health, like he wants you to drink a gallon of plain water every day, right? If you have a health condition where you need something to it, well, then you add stuff to your water, right? If there is a condition, a blizzard or tornado warnings and all this other shit going on outside, he says stay safe, like stay safe. If it's
Right.
raining, he does have this. He was, if it's raining, you walk outside without an umbrella. Like if you're outside with no cover, you just go and do it. And I'll tell you, I walked outside in feet of snow. Like I did it. I literally stuck out there every day. But then I started doing things like I would look at what's the weather going to be like today, right? Is it
Yeah.
raining? Can be in the afternoon and I'm going to do the new things in the morning. You know, is it, and I look, I'm like, oh, it's just drizzling right now. I'd look at the app. I'm like, it's just going to drizzle for the next hour. Let me go get my walk in now. And then I'll
Right.
come home.
Before the
It's just
driving rain
drizzling. It's not going to
starts.
hurt me.
Right. Before the driving rain starts.
Exactly. Exactly. So, I mean, it makes you, like I have said already, like it makes you really take the time to look and see how it fits into your life and into your
Mhm.
schedule. And it really helps you get structured and disciplined. Because if you can take that structure and discipline to do this, you can take pieces of the things that you learn and you can implement it into your work life, your life, you know, all the other things. You can apply that same structure to it because you've done it once with something.
You know, and so I like your approach because you're right. Most people want structure, right? Most people, you start a diet because structure. We all know what to do. Like there's not a person here listening that knows some of the stuff they do needs to go. There's not a person listening who's like, yeah, guilty as charged.
Yeah.
You just need someone to say, girlfriend, get that
Yeah.
out.
Like, let's go do it. Right. So, I mean, and there is a 75 hard app that you, if you're, I like checking boxes. I'm a box checker. It's just who I am. And it's, you know, first workout check, progress picture, and you can even put in reminders. So the damn thing will have its notifications to say, don't forget to take your picture. Like you can set up reminders in this app. So to remind you to do the things you're supposed to, that is telling you to do. Drinking water, heck yeah, let's get more water in there. So I like to just check that it's my things are done.
Right.
And then it says at the end of the day, it's like completed. And you can see the whole calendar, like all these red marks are completed. All right, well, I'm a third of the way done now, or I'm halfway done now.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, like you said, everyone likes the box checks, and you know, there's a Jerry Seinfeld when he was first starting in comedy. He said you need a book of jokes in order to be able to go to any open mic night. So he started, got an old school calendar, and every day he wrote a joke. He put a X on the calendar, and he was like, don't break the chain. And that was his like way of just making sure that he always had, you know, sat down and wrote a joke for the day. And so this kind of is the same thing. And so, you know, for a lot of people who like the 75 hard feels hard, you know, there have been other folks, and you could do a Google on this one, that have come up with like the 75 soft, the 75 easy, 75, you know, so that it's varying flavors of the 75 that will can allow you to like ease your
Work your way.
way into the water, right? So instead of doing 2 workouts a day, it's 1 workout a day. And for most of us, you know, most of the people who are listening to me, like we're already getting in our workouts. Like that's easy as hell for so many people. For others, it's the damn food. It's the following a diet that is really
For most
hard.
people, yeah, that's the
And
hard. I think that's for most times it's, and I think it's because we've all been taught since we were little kids. It's like family dinner together, eat your entire plate, then you can have dessert, you know? So it's like,
right.
you know, these things become treats. So our lives turn around about the food. And it's almost like we have to change our mindset to be like, oh crap, like I don't need to eat my whole plate. And dessert, do I really want that sugar? And
Or
most times it's like, yeah, because sugar has that hold on you. It's like, but what can I have as an alternative to that? So it really is that, it really is the food part that I think most
or
people
you're
have a hard time
socialized
with.
around it. Oh, you had a bad day? Here, have, something. Had a bad day. Hey, do you want to go out for a glass of wine? I mean, I don't know how many
Yeah.
times when my shit job that like, and there was a bar downstairs, how many times my shit day ended up with multiple glasses of wine.
Yeah, almost every day. I mean, when I was back in corporate America for that short stint that I did, and I went and we were in New York City, it was every day we were heading downstairs to the restaurant, having a drink, or heading to a rooftop after work. Like it was an everyday or a networking event where it was alcohol. Like there was so much to it that, you have cocktails almost every single day. And again, it's very social. So I learned through 70, I'm like, I can't be a hermit and sit in my house for 75 days, not go out and enjoy myself. So I can go out, I can sit at a bar in a restaurant, order a healthier meal and have water or a cup of tea. Cause if it was winter, it was like, or a glass of tea or something like
Yeah.
nicer than having anything with alcohol in it. Like having a mocktail, if that was the case, like a healthier version of a mocktail, water and lime, all those things that you can have. Um, to almost fake yourself out. But I learned that I didn't need to go out and have alcohol. That was another thing that I learned. I didn't need to go out and have alcohol to socialize or to enjoy myself.
And it's funny that you say that because I feel like, you and I both competed, and I s- I remember I would literally stop drinking for 6 months. I would
Mhm.
January 1st, I would go on the wagon, and then I wouldn't stop, and I wouldn't have a drink. I might have like one or two drinks like after a show, and then I would be back to not drinking. And then eventually I was like, why does it have to be this like, you know, no, 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 no. And then like where like you decide if you want to have a drink that day or not.
Mhm. Yeah. And again, it's because of the social aspect. It's all the
Right.
things that it's all the movies, right? I mean, watch Sex in the City. Those girls are all in shape. Those women are all in shape, drinking every damn day. Like, nope,
Right.
sorry, that isn't real.
No, and for a lot of for a lot of the ladies I talked to, in their 40s, I was like, we just can't metabolize the alcohol like we used to. So it was like going out and boozing it up on a weekend just can't happen every weekend.
No, it's
It,
gonna expand, your butt's gonna grow. It's just gonna happen. And we feel like crap for way
oh
longer.
my goodness! Like sometimes if I have like 2 to 3 drinks, I wake the next day and I'm like, yeah, okay, thanks for the slap in the face.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It was like I went to Nicaragua to my girlfriend's wedding a few weeks ago. And I think this is one of the things that was leading up for me to be like, all right, clean your act up. But it was we were at this wedding and they were making drinks, they were doing and dragon fruit, like fresh, super fresh. And I'm like, oh, I'll just make mine with tequila. Now I drink wine or straight up tequila so that I sip things, right? So that I don't chug things anymore. I had to learn that. Oh, let
Ah,
me tell you, I had three of them.
oh yeah,
And I woke up the next day and I was hurt. I was like, what happened to me last night? Right? Because you just, I don't know, it's just can't do it. Just can't do it. And you know what it is? I don't even want to anymore. I really just don't even want
yeah.
to.
And I if on the times when I wasn't drinking, now everyone's just like that's just how Kim is. Like sometimes she'll have a drink, sometimes she won't. But I remember when I wouldn't be
Mhm.
drinking and it would just be a thing. Like, well, can't you just have this? Or can't I'm like, what's the hard part of saying no? Like, I'm good, I'll have water, I'll have whatever else non-alcoholic I'll have. And I think it just puts people in a very judgment of themselves. Like, what does that say about me that I want this drink and you're not?
Right. That's that. Yep. You hit the nail on the head with that. You hit the nail
Yeah.
on the head with that. But going back to 75 hard, what's crazy is I blogged about it when I was doing it. I wrote a blog about 75 hard and then I wrote another blog about finishing phase 1, 75 hard and finishing phase 1. So I wrote it. And that, when I look at my Google searches, it is still the #1 thing that people have found me through. And I did it 2 years ago, but it's still the #1 thing when people Google, they're not Googling me, they're Googling 75 hard, but they're coming to my website because of the blog that I wrote about it.
Well,
Because it's such a big thing.
it's such a big thing. And so, that's why I wanted to talk about it, because like I said, it's this is the time of year that a lot of people start to think about getting back to something. And, you're one of the few people that I know that has finished it, but also you haven't, like those 30-day challenges, you get to day 31 and you just fall apart. You're just like a hot steaming mess on the side of the road. But you got to 75 and you're like, okay, I learned some lessons, and you kept probably 80% of the things you were doing. They stuck with you. And so that's what I want to try to get across to people. It's like, look at that and say, what are the habits that you would love to have stick versus after day 75, I'm done and I never have to do this shit again. Like, no.
Right. You know what I found is that I truly, well, when I did the additional 30 days, and like I said, I went on vacation, went and warmed up. It was the cold showers in January that really threw me. Walking in the snow and then coming home and taking a cold shower. Yeah, that just was not.
You're like, that wasn't a good idea.
That wasn't even smart. Okay. So I know why, but I know why mind after, like, I don't say lost my mind, but I know why I was just like, all right, I'm on vacation, I'm going to go have fun, and relax. But the things that I did learn and the things that I have kept over the last few years, I learned that I love to walk every day outside. I love to get that fresh air. I have walked almost every single day for 45 minutes. I have the same loop almost every single day. Even when I go on vacations, I go for a 45-minute walk. I learned that one thing about myself that I love. I still working out 5-6 days a week, right? I was doing a yoga class, or I would go and lift. So even the days that I wasn't lifting or doing yoga, I'm like, you know what? I feel like maybe another walk. So I was still continuing to do those things. Reading a book. I was reading books like crazy. I've always loved read, but sometimes you just get away from it. But reading a book every day, reading 10 pages out of a book, so there were so many things that I continued to follow. Did I let a few things go? Like, yeah, I've had weddings and trips and traveling, and went to Italy for a month and ate what I wanted and had all the, had the wine and enjoyed my life. But it was the structure of the things that I found that I loved more.
Right. Yeah.
And I've continued it.
And I like that, because you also, it also forced you to like really look at your day and say, okay, I can put this here, I can put that there, I can do this, I can do this. Because I think about so remember when your kids were young and you were, working full time, you figured shit out. Like, you were like, okay, someone has to be here, and we all figured out that Jenga of our schedule. And we can do it for our kids, we can do it for work, but somehow when it comes to our health, we're like, I don't have the time, I'm too busy, I'm too this.
Yeah. And we need to learn to put ourselves first. And I think that as women, we really need to learn to do that, because we don't. We think that if we put ourselves first, we're selfish.
Yes.
But you can't give from an empty cup. You have to fill your own cups first. And yes, working out is a good thing to fill your cup. Meditating is a good thing to fill your cup. Reading some sort of a book that you can learn something from is filling your cup. Like, fill your things so that you can give to others more, 100% of yourself at the time when they need you.
Yeah.
And I think the other thing that I learned doing those 75 days, in the moments of what I needed to do during that time, right? Like, in the moments, working out and everything else was blocked off.
Yeah.
In the moment, sitting down to read 10 pages in a book, I'm like, you know what? I need this quiet time to read these 10 pages in the book. And again, I'm a mom of 5. So for all of you, I'm 52 years old now. I'm a grandmother now. But I'm a mom of 5, raised 5 children. My husband and I blended the family 22 years ago. And, at the time, one was 4 and the oldest was 15. So there was a whole heck of a lot going on when they were little. So I get it. And when we started doing fitness competitions forever ago, that's when I really started to learn some structure too, because it was like I had to get all these workouts in and I had to kind of figure out my diet. And so I think for me, it became doing 75 was because it was less weeks than when we used to compete.
You know,
Like I
yeah,
did this longer. You know what I mean? Like this is easy. This is 10 and a half weeks, not 12 to 16.
and knowing you as well as I know you, I could totally see that being your fucking rationale. Just being like, well, 16,
Seriously, I was like,
16 weeks is this amount of days. What's 75?
that 10 and a half weeks. I saved myself 5.5 weeks. You know, like, and again, to the person that I was becoming going through the journey of doing it. And I think it's what really has propelled me to say, okay, you know what? I want to do it again. I want to do it again for myself. Right. And it's not to look good in a bathing suit anymore. Now it's, like I said,
Yes. Oh my
52
God.
grandmother.
Can you say
It's to
that
have
again?
more energy.
Can
It's
you
to
say that
clean.
again?
It's not about looking good in the bikini anymore for me, right? It's about being healthy. It's
Yes.
about being healthy, having more energy, having more vibrancy. I'm sorry, having glowier skin and having my body try and get rid of, help the aging process. Like,
Now,
it's being able to squat down and play with my grandkids.
right. And so as you kind of like, let's just fast forward day 76. Do you think you'll try to do phase two, or do you think you're like, okay, I'm going to just look at what I did over the last 75 days and say, what are the pieces that I actually really love and I know move the dial for me?
Well, I know this time I've already looked at the calendar.
Oh gosh.
I'm already mapping the damn thing out, right? So I already know, like, I'm going to Greece. I'm going to be in Greece for a week during these 75 days. And I'm already looking at it. I'm like, you know what? Greece is not known for their wine. So I think I'm safe from the alcohol piece. Working out, I'm going to be walking a lot, right? These workouts into my, are going to be walks instead, or hikes or whatever, right? I'm going to enjoy myself on this vacation. So I'm looking at that. So if I do put that in quotes, because in my head I won't be failing, but if I do choose to decide to say, you know what, I did 60 out of 5 days and now I'm in Greece, okay, I'm happy with myself. However, I'm going to push that because it's just something I want to challenge myself to, and
Right.
still enjoy my vacation.
Right.
I know day 76, I've already looked at the map. I'm like, you know what, day 76 start the next 30 days on day 76. So by the time, because that will be the end of October. So by the time Thanksgiving rolls around, I'm done with the first two phases. And then I have to take 30 days off. They make it so between phase 2 and phase 3, they want you to take 30 days off, because that's when it's like what I'm supposed to learn for myself and I can be
Gotcha.
consistent with it.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And then, I think I'm going to push and try and do the next two phases, which are, will be an additional 30, 60 days over the next two phases. So I'm going to try it. We'll see. But my first goal now is just, let's get these first 75 days done.
Yeah, no, and I like how the thought process is like, you know what, I'm going on this dream vacation and I'm gonna do my best. Like that's all you're going in there. You're not trying to get all wrapped around the axle of like, oh, I need to Google for a gym and I need to do this and I need to do that. Like it's like, hey, I'm gonna do my best, and that's all I can do. And it's like,
I mean, my best is going to be from a diet perspective. I'm going to eat healthy, clean, great Mediterranean food. That's going to be okay.
right.
Listen, I mean, I know we're given one life.
Uh-huh.
And I think being a cancer survivor, living in an ostomy, talking to the people that I talk to all the time, because I have the podcast for people in ostomies, but talking to the people and the struggles that they go through on a daily basis of their life, sick of not being healthy, or what got to that point. And it's sad to say that sometimes I don't want anyone to go through having cancer to be able to grab life by the balls and run with it, because it is way shorter. It's so short. I don't want anything bad to happen to everybody, but at some point we're all going to die. Like we're
Mhm.
just going to, and for ourselves to get the most out of this lifetime, like to get every single thing that you can suck out of this life. What are you going to do that? Right?
Right.
Are you going to nothing on the table when you're laying in that bed? And I think that that's the way I want to live my life. And I think that's why I do on the table. I want to
Yeah.
grow as much as I can as a person.
It's funny that you say that. It just reminded me. So you know who Jesse Eitzer is. Um,
Yes. Yeah.
so for those of you who are listening who don't know Jesse Eitzer, he is one of the owners of the Atlanta Hawks. And he's an entrepreneur married to Sarah Bleakley. And he's such an interesting guy, such an interesting guy. So he is a ultra marathoner, biker, like I mean, very athletic. And he says, when people are like, why do you train so hard, Jesse? And he's like, I want to train for life. He's like, I want to be able to, he's got, 4 kids, and I think they're all pretty much probably under 12. He's like, I have 4 kids. And he's also like, I want to be that guy who, like, if someone's like, hey, do you want to go on a 100-mile bike ride? I don't have to prep for it. It's only a couple of days of prep before I'm ready to go on that bike ride. So he's like, I'm training for life. And when I say that, not saying anyone has to run 100 miles, because if you find me riding my bike for 100 miles, call 911. But he's like, the prep is just so I can be healthy, so that I'm not infirm later in life.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is. It's about that, like taking care of yourself now. And I know the age of your listeners, I mean, we're all over 40. I look at myself now, I'm like, I'm 52. I'm more than halfway done with this life. Like, what else is there out there that I want to do and accomplish? And how healthy do I want to be to get to that point? Like, I want to be the 100-year-old great great grandmother out on the dance floor for my great great granddaughter's wedding, doing the jig.
Right.
Jig, but whatever, right?
And yeah.
And you gotta take care of yourself now. Every day, one day. Just start, instead of saying one day, say day one. Like today's day one. I'm one right now, today, and get
and
through today.
and for a lot of people, as this conversation was about 75 hard, but I want you just to say, like, what's one thing you could do for 75 days? Like, you guys all know I'm about one thing. Like, what's one thing I can focus on for 75 days? Is it getting your ass to bed on time? Could it be, something that you eat? Could it be following just a diet for 75 days? And when we say diet, we're just saying, could you cut the shit out for 75 days? What's
Yeah.
something, can we scale back on the alcohol? What's one thing you could do for 75 days? Could you go for that walk? Here in New England, we only got a few more dollar days before you will say to yourself, it's too cold or too whatever, that you can't go outside.
Right. Exactly. And it is, and I would even challenge everybody to take a look and say, out of those, out of the 6 things that you need to do for 75 hard, how many of them am I doing already today?
Yeah. And
And if you pick off the box and you've got like 4 done, just say, you know what, I could add 2 more things to this and get it done. I could do that.
yeah.
You know what I mean? And just and try it. And just try and just try it.
And I'd like you to look at, your season of life. I always say, we all have, like, our lives are just like the seasons out in the wild. We all have seasons of life. And so, like, if I am in that busy season and all of the things just are a little bit too much, pick one thing that you're like, I'm going to insert this in and really do my best to get it done, so that you can prove to yourself, like, during busy times, it's not a reason to take your health and put it on the shelf.
That is when it's the most important thing, to keep your health in front of you.
Yeah. And that's when, even, I have a client who, like, she is a school teacher. And so at the beginning of school, it's just a little chaotic for her. She sits in her car for 5 minutes before she walks in the house. And that's her, like, separation from church and state. Like, it's just her 5 minutes of her, and 5 minutes probably will feel like a million minutes, if you do it enough.
Yep, exactly, exactly. And it's that compound effect, right? So doing a little bit of something every day adds up to big things.
Yeah, and that if you are trying to say read more, The Compound Effect, that is a really, really, really good book by Darren Hardy. I'm going to write myself a note to put that in the show notes. Darren Hardy. So Leanne, where can people find you on the social medias?
Yeah, you can find me. My butt's everywhere. But I spend the majority of the time, on Instagram. Believe it or not, still Facebook. I guess it's the age thing. I love my
Mm-hmm.
Facebook. So Instagram, it's Leanne, name Leanne Hayden. Facebook, it's Leanne Hayden 07, because somebody dared to take my name way back when. Yeah, or you can even just go to my website, leannehayden.com. I put a lot of stuff out there on what's going on in life. So those are the best places to get me.
And I always ask everyone this one question. What is one thing that makes you feel magical?
Oh, good night's sleep.
Yeah, girl, I can feel
That's
you.
the first thing that just came out of my
I feel you.
it popped in my head. Good night's sleep makes me feel magical.
Yeah.
Magical.
Yeah, I know that feeling. I didn't get a good night's sleep last night and I'm like dying to get one.
Yeah. Yeah. And repaving the street behind us. And for some reason they think it's okay to start at 3:15 in the morning.
Oh,
Right? The blowers and all that stuff. So did not get a great night's sleep last night. But yeah, no, I always feel amazing when I get a great night's sleep. That's the magic button for me.
I love it. I love it. So many people discount sleep. It's ridiculous how much we do discount sleep. All right, ladies,
Yeah.
I have enjoyed this conversation and I hope that it accomplished what I wanted. I wanted to just to like blow open the lid on 75 hard and just give you options that you can try the 75 hard, 2 snaps up and a tic tac to you for trying it, but don't have it make you feel like shit. It just, if you missed by one page on the reading, what is that? It's one page. It's not like you said, I'm not going to read this fucking book. You fell asleep. It's okay. You didn't
But
take the picture.
yeah,
It's
just
okay.
keep going. Just
Keep seeing,
yeah,
just
just keep going. Just keep going.
learn from how you tripped up. So ladies, make sure you follow Leanne. She is a lot of fun. And thank you so much for listening. As always, if you need something, holla, we are here to help. Enjoy the rest of your day.